so they can take on the usual assortment of weak stuff, like up through ghosts. And we'll see what they see in the throne room.
Yep, early game should not be too terribly difficult. Now, we're going into this with Ratlif having the armor. So, there you have it. Seed over.
And we have a stored value card in the form of a cursed belt, so if they can find a town to sell that, that is worth a copper sword worth of gold.
Yep, and so we'll see if we see a town immediately outside, and we do. Ratlif making their way down to it, but gets stopped by a red slime. Chromataclysm finds Hawksness.
Seed is now officially validated, and with Erdrick's armor at the very start, they are now defense breaking everything up to and including warlocks and skeletons. So the incoming damage, unless monsters have some sort of an ability like Hurt More or Breath Attack, is going to be extremely low, single digits.
Yep, and Chromataclysm putting that stop spell to use on this Magidraki here. So should very quickly have level 2 and be well on their way to level 3. We have at level 2... 0140.
Absolutely fantastic level right there. But the stop spell usage on Magidrakes is absolutely perfect in this case. Once you land it, they're just not going to do anything, really. I mean, they can only do, I think, a couple points of damage once you break them defensively.
Yep, and as we've seen, they have the Hurt spell, and so if they continue to cast that, then it's nothing at all.
Yeah, between the broken enemies and just the constant heal walking from Erdrick's armor, I don't expect either runner to die until they find something with some sort of an ability.
So we have 5035 on that level. And we find Heal More.
So now with the attack power at 16, they will be able to take on scorpions and consistently do damage to them, so I'm imagining Chromataclysm is hoping to find something like that to speed up the leveling process a little bit.
Absolutely. Getting Heal More and the armor early on, but they're paying for it in early statistical growth.
And we see a werewolf, which means that it looks like Tentagel is very likely on the corner of Zone 0. So whenever Tentagel's on a corner, if you go straight up or down from it, you will be in like Zone 1, essentially. But if you deviate to the side from that, you will end up in a completely random zone, which is why the werewolf appeared so close to start.
Yep, so making note of for later. The Magidraki seems to be the fight for both of our runners here, just throwing down that stop spell. We're going to get another level here on Chromataclysm's side, where we have 4, 4, 11, and 8. So our first double-digit gain in the HP category.
Yeah, we're getting very incremental early levels. This is pretty much what you would expect to see if you just follow the stat growth curve of the game. I'm very curious to see when one of the runners will decide to push out and try to find a town and maybe up their attack power with a copper sword by selling the cursed belt or something like that. Agility is still pretty low at just 17, so it will be a struggle to run away from just about everything beyond the middle tier stuff like wolves.
Yeah, Chromataclysm finding out we have Heal More on Magicians, so Magidrakis and Magicians with back-end Heal More.
I'm very curious to know how the enemy sets roll their abilities. Like, this could just be confirmation bias on my part, but there's a Hurt More from a Poltergeist. But in my experience running this game, I seem to notice that enemies that occupy roughly the same tier of monsters seem to roll similar abilities. So like Magicians and Magidrakes, of course, are pretty much on the same tier of monster, and they rolled an identical ability set by the looks of it.
So just early on here, early grinding to try and get some stats that'll allow our runners to push out. The armor is very nice here in the early going, but it doesn't necessarily write you a free ticket to leave the starting zone.
Anytime you start with Erdrick's armor, it's basically a race to gain hurt, or some sort of source of offense. Because you can pretty easily survive against most things once your HP climbs sufficiently.
It's very true. ratlifTheRat catching up here to level 4. Just behind chromataclysm, who is ahead in the experience race, but not by much. And Ratliff pushing out and finding a town just to the northwest. It is Cantlin.
Okay, so in this instance, I would just immediately sell the Cursed Belt without even checking the shop first. I just immediately dump it, because even if the shop doesn't have a weapon, you can just fill your inventory with fairy water, and that would be sufficient to take down several mid-tier enemies, like especially things like metal scorpions.
Yep, Ratliff does buy 1 fairy water with the gold that he already possessed, but does not sell the Cursed Belt here.
It's entirely possible he simply forgot that he started with one.
Decides to hang around that upper zone to see what's there. We have a Wraith. Nothing doing.
So if he was to sell the Cursed Belt to get 180 gold, he would have enough gold to buy 4 fairy water at least. And with the min roll of fairy water being 9 and having it being guaranteed to land on just about every enemy in the game except for metal slimes, that would be more than enough to take down a Wraith.
So Ratliff decides that zone wasn't really useful and heads back to the starting area.
Math Girl asks about stop spell resistance. So there is no guaranteed resistance. The way it works in randomizer is you take the enemy number. So every enemy in the game has a number assigned to it. So the weakest, by the way, level 5 is garbage, but the weakest monster is a regular slime, which is enemy number 1. And then it goes all the way up through Dragon Lord 1, Dragon Lord 2. And wherever a monster lands on that list, you divide that number by 4, and that's the maximum stop spell resistance it can have. So at the one extreme, red dragons can have a 9/16, and slimes at the other end would be no resistance at all. And then of course, if monsters don't have a magical ability, then it just defaults to 15 out of 16.
So out of that terrible level, 3400 is level 5. Strap in, folks. Chromataclysm decides, really getting sick of having to do the stop spell Magidrakey, finds Droll just to the northeast. And we'll see if he likes that any better.
And of course he just crits it. And Ratliff is getting his level 5. I'm very curious to see when Chroma is going to start pushing exploration, and now it looks like that is exactly what he's going to do. And he's seeing a whole lot of nothing in the northeastern part of the map, and this blue dragon is very likely to send him home.
But not one shot, even at level 5, thanks to a bit of a low roll on the blue dragon's part, but does indeed go home. Meanwhile, Ratliff has essentially caught up in the experience race here, more or less.
At 38 defense, the blue dragon would be, I would say, max roll of 39. So if you're running around with max HP here, you will survive a melee from a blue dragon. And now Chroma is going to check the shop. And we do see a copper sword. So I would, wow, buying a bamboo pole. See, I'm very curious here. Like, do the runners know that they have a cursed belt in their inventory?
It's certainly possible that they forgot. Oh, we had just synced up screens there for just a second. It's certainly possible they forgot. Although here we see Ratliff selling his cursed belt, so we'll see what he elects to pick up with it.
This is a no-brainer copper sword purchase at this point.
Yeah, the exact amount needed. And Ratliff does pick up that copper sword. So attack power now at 33, which at this point, you take every point you can get.
Now, there is some flexibility with what he could have done with his money there. He opted to get a small shield, so that nudges the defense up to 42. The reason why that's significant is because the mid-tier enemies, so wolves have 40 attack power, so if you get your defense above that threshold, you defense break them. So now he can take on wolves and take very little damage. Chromataclysm opted to load up on herbs instead of buying a copper sword. That is a very interesting play.
And the Poltergeist Hurtmore comes back out here. But Ratliff electing to continue the fight. No dice.
So the difference between a copper sword and a bamboo pole is 8 attack power. That's worth a little bit over 2 damage on average per swing. So it's not much, but it can certainly make a difference, especially when you're fighting low-tier monsters. It can easily make a difference of, in the case of Chroma, having a bamboo pole can easily add a swing per fight versus the copper sword.
Not to mention the crit range.
Yeah, depending on rounding, the crit range for Ratliff is either 16 to 33 or 17 to 33, and for Chroma, it's either 12 to 25 or 13 to 25.
Ratliff trying to take down this Magidraki without having to cast Stop Spell, but it casts Heal More twice. He finally breaks through, gets it.
That's some pretty brutal luck. I mean, at 33 attack power, you definitely expect to two-shot a Magidraki pretty much every single time, and to have it trigger the Heal More is that's just brutal.
Golden Man puts Ratliff to sleep. He attacked it. Not sure if that was a misclick or if he intended to do it. And we have level 6, 8, 1, 2, 5, and the spell of sleep. So a not insignificant strength gain, finally, on that level. Putting Chromataclysm on par with Ratliff's current AP.
Yeah, level 6 made up the gap between the bamboo pole and the copper sword. Now that Ratliff has seen Goldman throwing sleep, I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see him try to target one, because with Goldman being worth 650, if they're throwing 50% sleep and you immediately block their spell, you could easily take one down, having Heal More and all this defense to work with.
So Ratliff deciding to stick around home base yet again after his last exploration push. Try and get that level 6, which he's not too far from. Chroma's back in Cantlin to buy the copper sword. So now 41 attack power for Chroma.
Equal attack and defense. Very modest, but I mean, it's levels. We have to bear in mind this is level 6, so I don't know if any runner would really complain about having 40 plus attack power at this stage, especially starting with the armor. It's like you can fight pretty much the entire middle tier of monsters at this point and get away with it.
Chroma appears to be aiming more for the drolls that he's finding in this area, while Ratliff is still back. Really, the best enemy in the zone he's in is that Magidraki, and it's very time-intensive. We're seeing the stats there now, 75% heal more, 50% hurt.
We have Townsville. That's 2 additional towns to the south of Hawksness. And the first one is Hawksness 2, which is Breckenary. And it has magic armor and a silver shield, so...
Yes, it certainly does.
Not that we need magic armor with Erdrick's armor, but it's interesting to see the high-end goods in Breckenary, and the next town is Garenham, so I'd be really, really, really aching to find a key here.
Yeah, absolutely. More magic armor there.
Also a hand axe. Now, we didn't see the bottom shop in Cantlin, so Cantlin could very well have a broadsword or something like that, but I would be very interested in taking down a gold man at this point and trying to get a broadsword or something very quickly, because we don't have any offensive spells to use, so you're always looking for a faster route forward in a scenario like this.
So Ratlif has found a knight, and the knight has thrown a stop spell 4 times.
So that would be a prime target with Fairy Water. Like, he does not have the attack power to take down a knight, unfortunately. He is literally defense broken by the knight, but Fairy Water would definitely take it down, probably maybe in 3 hits, but almost certainly in 4.
Oh, Spectres have hurt more, so not only Poltergeist, but Spectres. Ratlif put the last one to sleep and took it down. Spectres are great at this level right now if you can corral the hurt more. And they seem to have it at a high clip.
Seeing monsters with hurt more is kind of a good news, bad news scenario here, because you do have stop spell, so if you are going to see things with abilities, you want them to have a spell ability so that you can block it. And level 7, it brought decent stats, but not in strength.
No, 2, 11, 0, 12, so the agility has at least climbed a bit out of the gutter, but that's about it.
Yeah, we're slowly edging closer to a common threshold that experienced runners look at, which is you want to see agility cross that 40 threshold, because once it gets to that level, you are at least a coin flip to run against everything in the game except for red dragons and armored knights. Now, the one exception is blue dragons. You have to get usually up to 42 for them. But for everything else, once you get to 40, you're at least a coin flip, and that really makes exploration easier as long as the game decides to not troll you.
Ratlif has found Warlocks and decides, yes please, is going to stick around that zone.
And Spectres are defense broken as well, so this is just to throw out a stop spell and just chip them down slowly with the copper sword.
Yeah, this appears to be a zone that Ratlif likes quite a bit. Right now, Chromataclysm has built about a 120 experience point lead.
The only real downside to this zone for Ratlif is it's forest and swamp, which is just a 1 in 16 encounter rate. You ideally want to see a desert tile, or failing that, a mountain tile. Getting these slightly lower encounter rates can be kind of painful.
Yeah, the game tends to give you the hero walk when you don't want it.
This is also one of those scenarios where if they learn Repel at level 8, it's basically useless unless they also learn Hurt more. Because they'll just repel away the things that they actually want to fight.
Ratlif hitting the exact experience amount needed for level 7 and levels up.
Yeah, the stats aren't terrible, but they're also not good. They're just... I would describe these stats as very mediocre. At least they do have 38 MP, so they have a fair resource pool to utilize stop spell and sleep and occasionally heal more.
Chat asking where the armor was. Literally the first chest in the throne room.
Yeah, throne room was Erdrick's armor and a cursed belt.
The Spectre encounters are helping Ratlif to somewhat close this experience gap here. While Chroma deals mostly with trolls.
Ratlif is getting low on resources, so he probably won't quite catch up on experience on this cycle, but certainly will on the next one, unless Chroma changes zones, because the zone that Chroma's in has Drolls and Magidrakes in it. I haven't seen what else is over there, but I'm very interested in the fact that he's just walking back and forth in the swamp with the desert tiles just to the northeast of him, so maybe he's mapped out his zones, and the zone to the northeast must not be good if he's not over there.
Chromataclysm finds Mountain Cave. So we're going to see if he can make the walk. Manages to get to the first chest. We have wings.
I'm very jealous of this walk. Like,
Extremely
Chroma just
so.
went all the way to the chest with no encounters at all. But now he has a Star Wyvern and
is going home.
gets taken out. Yeah, 33 agility. It's you're a under a coin flip to run on them. So actually, the strat with this agility against things like Star Wyverns and Green Dragons is to use sleep on them, since it's a bit more likely to land than you are to run away from them.
It's like Chroma may be trying to head right back there.
Yes, Scarlet, I do feel slightly better now that the Star Wyvern showed up, because for me it would have shown up like 2 steps in.
All things in balance. Our next level for both runners, of course, is at 600. Chromataclysm now less than 100 away from that. Looks like it's going to try and reach it. And Ratlif 110 away. So, very close in the experience race between both. Both have found things in exploration that the other runner has not yet. And Chromataclysm searching the Sparkover Bridge.
So now the game within the game is, when does Chroma go back to Mountain Cave? Because Chroma knows that there's a Star Wyvern up there, but saw literally no other encounters, so there's very little info as far as what the enemy set is. Like, if I was in that position, I would probably want to go back in at level 8 if there was, like, any appreciable stat gains whatsoever, especially in HP and agility.
Yeah, especially since, while the Star Wyvern is on the first floor, no telling what's on the second, and you've already gotten that first chest.
I mean, it's extremely valuable. I mean, you know where Cantlin is, so if you can get a key out of Mountain, or, like, even gold might be somewhat valuable in this case.
And don't look now, but Ratlif has taken the experience lead, however slight, and is going to hit... Nope, not quite, but may hit level 8 first here, depending on how Chromataclysm's fight here concludes, and then on to the next. Ratlif taking literally any fight right now because he knows he's so close. They are essentially neck and neck.
And both of them had poltergeists on their screen at the same time. That is just depressing.
And Ratlif is going to get it first. So we're going to see 14, 1, 11, and 1. Radiant and Repel. So HP up to 55 now, and attack power, you're swinging at 57.
So at 55 HP, with that defense, Star Wyvern will have a max roll of, I believe, 31. So the Mountain Cave is suddenly quite a bit more survivable than it was just a level ago. And by the way, Goldman, they have DL2.
Well, there go those hopes.
I think they also have Sleep, so they officially have Wombo.
And it looks like Chroma has decided that possibly level 8 is time to head back to Mountain.
And according to the tracker, 25 Sleep, 25 DL2. So low probability for both, but when you have those specific abilities, low probability is still terrible. And we see our first red dragon of the seed.
Gets away. And no, I'm mistaken. Chromataclysm is just out exploring now, past up Mountain Cave. And we see our first wolf on Ratlif's screen. A very nice enemy at this level if you can get it. And does easily.
So at 34 agility, red dragons just under 20% to run away, so that was extremely lucky to run. But throughout the repel spell at 47 defense, if I don't have Hurt More, I generally do not do that in this situation.
Ratlif finds out that golems have DL2 breath and are inhabiting the same zone as those wolves, but is sticking it out.
Amusingly, a golem with DL2 breath, when you have Erdrick's armor and this much defense, it's basically a push with their melees. I mean, it would obviously cluster on the high end, but their melee range essentially extends to a max roll for DL2.
Chroma crits a red dragon for 35, takes what I assume is an intentional death.
Now Chroma's going to see the other towns and probably briefly panic, thinking that, oh no, Rimmeldar might be one of these two, but then we'll be probably very relieved to see that neither one is.
Ratlif manages to get away from a blue dragon after burning a heal more. And Chroma finds Garanham and possibly breathes a sigh of relief.
Seeing that long coastline, it looks like the start is on the right edge of the map. And now we have the south edge of the map, and we have Keytown for Chroma.
Keytown
could
for
be
Chroma.
Gigantic.
This is possibly huge here. And it was mere steps further south from Garanham.
And we're going to have an interesting decision here. It's like, you only have enough for 2 keys. Do you spend them in Rimmeldar to see what's in the inn chest or not? And personally, I wouldn't.
We have Tablet Cave right outside of Rimmeldar. Chroma's going to check it.
Like, I would much rather walk back to Garanham and check behind the one locked door there, since you know there's 3 chests plus a cave.
Ratlif is doing chip damage to this knight. Stop spelled it, though, and as often as the knight casts Stop Spell, why not?
And the Tablet Cave has our first plot item of the game, the Silver Harp.
So Tablet Cave required. Meanwhile, Ratlif has extended his experience lead to nearly 250 points.
Yeah, I would expect that to continue to slowly widen, because Chroma is going to be doing some treasure chest checks, as he should with the keys.
Ratlif buys the hand axe for another +5 to attack power. It's going to put him at 62.
Although I guess I'm not seeing Chroma walking back towards Garanham, so maybe the plan here is to just grind a bit and get more money to buy more keys in Rimuldar and then check the inn chest.
That may be the case. And Ratlif loading up on herbs with his remaining gold. And we find Jerk Cave over on Chroma's screen.
This is a really clustered map as far as locations go. Like, we've seen several towns and caves all within about 3 screens of the start.
Indeed, I believe the only town we're missing is Cole.
Yeah, Coal, and then for caves we're missing Grave and Staff Cave and I think Stones Cave, but 2 of those caves are behind the locked door in Tantagel and the locked door in Garanham.
Correct.
Also Swamp Caves, I guess, too.
Swamp Caves as well, yes. Alright, so Ratlif is going to find Rimuldar, so not too far behind on the keys here. And we're in the treasury. I missed the first chest. We have a torch, we have wings.
First chest was a magic key.
And we have gold, so... Gold grind can be set up, especially with Mountain Cave. And we know there's a silver shield on offer.
So now the question is, what cave is back here? If this is Swamp Cave connecting to Garanham, because he died to warp back here, he has 7 chests open, so the last 2 chests, if this connects to Garanham, will be glitched.
Ratlif going into tablet now, and we'll shortly have the silver harp. And we have Swamp South at the back of Tantagel.
Please connect to Garanham.
That would
I
be
really want to see this. I want to see this gold grind. Oh!
Ah. Boo. So Ratlif with the harp now. Ratlif with the harp and about a 200 experience point lead. And keys.
And we have another cave. And this is the Stones Cave. So now
Cave.
Garanham's cave. Oh, we have the token in there.
Token.
Wow.
So 2 of our plot items were inside 1 chest caves.
So Garanham now is confirmed to be either the Grave, which would be So Vanilla, or the Staff of Rain cave. And now we have Cole. So
Our
we have
last town.
We have basically complete knowledge already. And
the sword. Oh dear. How quickly does Ratlif go back to Tantagel and go out the back of Swamp?
That could be a while. I mean, once you death warp, there's no reason not to go through. So I think now if I'm Chroma, I would make a beeline for Mountain Cave and then clear it and set up a gold grind for, set up a gold grind for the Silver Shield. And then you're done with shops already.
Okay, so Ratlif is heading now to the back. Did not have enough gold on him to buy another key, so he's actually out of keys here.
Yeah, I don't remember what his gold was when he went to Rimuldar, but he might have only had enough gold for a single key when he visited the town, which is kind of huge. But now that I see hurt from this wizard, I think I start swinging at it.
Ratlif not having nearly as good of a walk through Swamp Cave. Wizards with Stop Spell and Hurt. I think I'm definitely swinging at that point. Ratliff
and we have
also
the
did
death
not.
necklace in the back of Garanham. But yeah, as soon as you see Hurt and Stop Spell, and neither of those things is important to you with the armor on, you absolutely should start swinging at the wizards. And we have the Staff of Rain Cave here, so Chroma now has the staff and just needs the stones.
And it would be just like the stones to be at the bottom of grave. Ratliff is not electing to walk to the north here. Wanting to grind instead, it looks like.
Well, the clear choice to grind in this cave is the wizard, so yeah, now the realization hits that, okay, I can beat these things relatively easy, because even if they opt to swing at you, you have heal more, so you will take it down eventually, and 120 experience at this part of the game is extremely valuable, as is the gold in this case, because he really needs keys. And we're going to get a coordinate check, and coordinates do not exist.
Unsurprising, considering what's left to find. This wizard will give Ratliff level 9. So we're going to see that here. We have 0, 4, 9, 15, and hurt more.
Okay, at this point, I would immediately check the spike in swamp.
So that sort of kind of counterfeits Chroma's advantage from having found the sword, in a sense, because Ratliff can now hurt more his way through a lot of things that the sword are going to help you with.
But at the same time, the sword really helps Chroma while clearing out these remaining checks, like in the mountain cave. So a lot of these things that he couldn't realistically defeat before, at least not efficiently, he can do it now, as long as he doesn't run into a DL2 Breathing Goldman.
Worth noting also, Ratliff has not yet located Mountain Cave. Doesn't know where it is, so is making a beeline for Hawksness, now with Hurtmore in hand.
Yeah, there's a very divergent routing happening here, and it makes perfect sense. Like, if you know where Hawksness is, you know where Garanham is, and you have keys, and you have Hurtmore, these are the checks you should just simply do right away.
Yep, and it would be interesting if the stones are in Hawksness, because it means that Mountain Cave and Grave are completely unnecessary.
Yeah, unless you want to chase down the Fighter's Ring or the Fairy Flute. I mean, Strength is kind of a lagging stat right now, so I wouldn't mind the Fighter's Ring, but it's certainly not worth full diving Grave looking for something like that. And the Red Dragons in Hawksness are trolling Ratliff, so I feel like if I'm in that position, I'd just go check Garanham and check the Spike in Swamp Cave and try to get some more stats to deal with the Red Dragon problem.
Yeah, Ratliff going right back into Hawksness, hoping that he can make the walk. And yeah, if the stones are there, you're right. You could dive for looking for the Fighter's Ring or Fairy Flute. Although I know somebody in chat who wouldn't go looking for the Fairy Flute.
Well, we have a Golem on the Hawksness Spike tile, and if the stones are there, that monster is mandatory. So the Fairy Flute would be pretty important to take it down, because we're a little light on HP.
And we know it has DL2 breath.
And there's a Fighter's Ring in Mountain Cave.
Yep, that extra 2 attack power is always welcome. Stones of Sunlight in Mountain Cave, so Grave is completely unnecessary unless you really need the flute, and we have not found that yet.
Well, now we just have the distinct possibility of the Golem sitting on the flute in Hawksness, which is always hilarious when it happens.
Yep, hysterical. But that is going to put Chromataclysm into grind and go mode. We don't know where Sharlock is, of course, but he could elect to just go ahead and get the stats and then just go looking.
I think Sharlock is our only missing location at this point. Like, I think we've seen literally everything between the two runners.
I believe you are correct. So Ratlif turning in the harp.
So now the question is, can Chroma Death Warp out of Mountain Cave? Or does he even
want to? Yeah,
does he even want to? Is the next question. Well, I think he seems to indicate that he does want to by walking back and forth. But if you want a Death Warp, you should be swiping at the Rogue Scorpion. I mean, the Rogue Scorpion probably isn't going to do that much damage, but he definitely has a Fighter's Ring in his inventory because he just picked it up in the Mountain Cave. So the Death Warp is available if you want it.
I agree. And if this is a grind, a Rogue Scorpion is also a thing to be swinging at right now. And this does appear to be a grind. Ratlif is back into Swamp Cave, maybe deciding to walk the whole thing this time, and that's going to be a good decision on his part.
Oh, I see what's happening. This is the Death Warp right here. These repeated stop spell casts. Because apparently Chroma doesn't want to just adjust the position of the Fighter's Ring like most runners would do. He opted for stop spell spam against a monster that had no ability.
Chroma going for the gold grind, so we're definitely seeing the Silver Shield play here.
Good point made by chat. You can't adjust it until you equip it, and Chroma has the Fighter's Ring but did not equip it in the Mountain Cave, at least not yet. So, but he could have equipped it in battle.
Ratlif trying to decide what to do here and is going to elect to take the Death Warp, not having great luck getting to the other side of Swamp Cave.
Well, agility is still on the wrong side of 40, so there aren't a lot of free runs against Sharlock tier monsters at this point.
So worth noting here, Ratlif still has the experience lead, but is definitely behind quite a bit on the exploration. Most of the stuff can be gotten fairly quickly, but he's got to be able to get to it. And if Chromataclysm goes on to win this race, we will have a race 3. Chroma is in a win-or-go-home situation here.
And Ratlif just did his coordinates check and finds out it's a go and fight seed.
And that race, should it be required, will be happening immediately following this one.
Not sure why Chroma checked with the old man a second time, because I'm pretty sure he's the one that went there first and got the no coordinates. So
yeah, he was. Possible he just forgot he did it. Not sure why he would check for it anyway, though, because there's nothing left for him to find, really. I mean, there is the Fairy Flute, but doesn't need Hawksness.
Yeah, so at this point, it's just a matter of getting the Rainbow Drop and settling into some sort of grind and then finding Sharlock. I mean, my top priority here would just be looking for a grind, because you don't want to be pushing exploration just to find Sharlock with this agility.
No, certainly not. And with the Golem on the Hawksness Spike, I'm probably checking Swamp Spike.
Definitely. It's right under start, so there's really no excuse for not looking at it as quickly as you can in a scenario like this.
Ratlif is now in Mountain, so is going to collect the couple of Mountain Cave treasures pretty quickly, and is knocking on the door of level 10.
Yeah, Schmike says he thinks the blue that Ratliff died to was the swamp spike, but not sure. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure either. And
Level 10.
And Chroma sold the fighter's ring without equipping it.
3183. Boy, I wonder if Chroma thought he equipped it. That is unfortunate. Ratliff, however, does put on the fighter's ring. Makes a point to do it immediately.
I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it probably won't make a real difference, but there are definitely scenarios where it can. I mean, in Dragon Lord math, sometimes it'll make the difference of subtracting a full swing from the fight, which can be exactly what you need to win on marginal resources.
To answer Ziggy in chat, do we know who's in Hawks? A Golem, and not only a Golem, but Golems have DL2 breath. So Ratliff finishes his clear out of Mountain Cave.
So I'm just glancing between the two runners, like their stats at level 8 versus level 10. You have 3 more strength at level 10 after 2 level ups. You have 5 more agility. The only stats that really improved were HP and MP.
Yeah, not amazing. But yeah, here, so Ratliff has essentially double Chromataclysm's experience. But of course is missing a couple of key things. Needs to get to the other side of Swamp. Scarlet Shadow in chat pointing out, likely setting up a gold grind. I would agree with that.
Really not sure why Chroma is trying to force his way to the Hawksness spike. I mean, you don't have Hurtmore yet, so even if the spike is an Axe Knight, it's not going to be helpful. And the zone to get to it is brutal, so I feel like the play here is you just revert back to a mid-tier grind like Wolf Lords or something like that, and just wait until you get a bunch more attack power or Hurtmore.
And Ratliff adjusting the position of the fighter's ring to finish off this. Well, nope, gonna attack as well. And there we go, Death Warp back. We're gonna see a gold grind here.
Question in chat is, has he seen a flame sword? I honestly don't recall seeing one. I mean, at the top shop and...
There is one, and I believe Ratliff has seen it, so we'll have to see if he elects the Sword Magician. I haven't seen that one before.
It's been a hot minute since I've seen that one.
So we'll see if he grinds for both here.
Well, given the fact he hasn't seen Erdrick's sword and still has modest attack power, there's no reason not to, especially if you don't have a dedicated Hurtmore spike grind to take advantage of. Probably something like an extra 25 to 30 seconds to menu the gold chests for flame sword money.
And he does appear to be grinding for both. Moving well beyond the threshold for the silver shield here. Chroma appears to be on the hunt for Sharlock currently. No luck as of yet.
This is a very tough situation to assess as far as who's leading, because this entirely depends on whether or not Chroma can settle into some sort of useful grind, and it also depends on Ratliff's routing as far as just randomly stumbling into the stuff that he needs to get.
Chroma heading back to Swamp because we have not confirmed if this is a single or a double or two continent map yet. I do not believe.
Yeah, I think we only saw a little bit on the other side of Swamp Cave.
So Ratliff gets the silver shield.
I would assume we are definitely getting a spike check on Chroma's side here. There's absolutely no reason not to do it when you have Hurt more.
Yeah, definitely for sure. And Ratliff buys the flame sword. So attack power of 80 now, so not that far behind Chromataclysm's attack power. Of course, he's a level ahead.
Now, I would like to point out, we do have a good grind zone. It's a very atypical one. It's not something that people generally think of as far as grinding is concerned, but the Swamp Cave has Star Wyverns in it, and we also know from before that they have Stop Spell, Hurt, Wizards in it. So if you throw Repel at the very nice defense of 69, you're going to filter out all the low-end stuff, and you're pretty much going to exclusively get the Star Wyverns and Wizards in here, which is actually a really good grind if the Spike Tile isn't something that you can just one-shot with Hurt more.
Ratliff is going to attempt to take down this red dragon. He's going to have to burn a lot of heal mores to do it. And it may not even be feasible given how much the red dragon can swing for right now, and your HP is only 72.
And now we do get confirmation that the blue dragon is, in fact, the Spike Tile, so not a great spike grind for the runners in this seed.
No, I'd probably take the blue dragon over the golem, especially without the fairy flute, but neither is ideal.
At 64 HP for Chroma, I just walk back and forth in this cave with Repel active and grind Wizards and Star Wyverns until my stats improve enough to realistically take down the blue dragon efficiently.
Ratliff not going through Swamp Cave, so we know it's pretty imperative that he do so as soon as possible.
And to respond to chat, even without the knowledge of Wizards having Stop and Hurt, I would still go after them at the level 9 stats because they're not, unless they have a dangerous ability, they're not going to do much damage to you at that defense. So it's like, let me think here. It would be max roll of 23? Yeah. So, yeah, you definitely go after Wizards at level 9, even if you don't know that they have Stop and Hurt.
And Chromataclysm has located Charlock. It is just to the south of Cole on the, what we presume to be, second continent.
Always good to see a town that's reasonably close to Charlock in case you have to bail on a dive by casting outside and refilling if things go horribly, horribly wrong.
Yep, and we need him to move slightly more to the east to see if the front door is indeed around that bridge. Oh, but elects to go home without confirming that.
Well, he only had one cast of Return available with the resources that were remaining, so kind of makes sense. Probably just wants to grind at this point now that Charlock is sighted, and for his sake, I would hope that he would just walk into Swamp Cave and go back and forth and kill stuff in there, but nope, going into Hawksness.
This is for Hawksness. I believe has yet to actually see the spike tile in Hawksness. Hasn't been able to get there.
Yeah, the red dragons have been very aggressively patrolling this town, sending people home.
Ratlif checks the Rimmelder chest, and it's just gold. And there, he finally finds out that it's a golem. I do not believe he knows that golems have DL2 breath. Which they do 50% of the time. They also have a back-end heal.
As long as you're on the spike, you may as well fight it out and hope that you crit and take it down, because 350 experience is super valuable.
Yeah, you hope for the best. Ratlif appears to be a little unsure where he's been. Meanwhile, Chroma not able to take down that golem.
I do not know off the top of my head if Ratlif maps.
Chroma headed into the swamp cave. See if he heads to the spike or if he's just going to walk around in that zone.
The Radiant cast would seem to indicate he wants to fight blue dragons.
The longer Ratlif is avoiding going to Second Continent, the more chromataclysm is catching up in the experience race here.
Honestly, at this point, I think it's now Chroma's race to lose, because he has complete information and all he has to do is grind. And even without a really efficient grind option available to him, this experience gap is going to be erased fairly shortly.
Chat saying the death is good for Ratlif, but only if he goes to Swamp, which he does not.
And at just 90 attack power, blue dragons are kind of a pain to fight.
Yeah, and in
Your
fact,
range is only 12 to 24, so you need to swing and hit them probably 5 times to win.
yeah, and chromataclysm has had to burn every heal more in the tank. But is now basically neck and neck with Ratlif in the experience race.
Honestly, with these stats, this might be a weird scenario where the stats are just bad enough to justify hurt more strats on the blue dragon. Like land 1 hurt more and then swing a couple times.
Well, this wizard will give chromataclysm level 11 if it cooperates all the way through, and it does. So we're going to see that shortly here. We have 11, 8, 4, 2. So attack power is now over 100. Our defense is 73. HP and MP are still not great.
So with that new attack power, you're looking at a range of 14 to 29 on the blue dragon. So things have gotten a bit better, but I'm very curious now that Chroma has seen the stop hurt spam from wizards, if he opts to just throw Repel in the Swamp Cave and go after Star Wyverns and Wizards. Because I feel like that's... In terms of resource usage, it's definitely more efficient than the Blue Dragon grind at this point. I don't know if it's more efficient in terms of experience yield.
Ratlif is just pacing outside of Tentacle here. I am not sure. He just wants to grab level 11 really quick. Okay, and he's going to get it. And looks like he's headed right back to Hawksnest to keep trying to grind on those red dragons. Every time he dies and goes home, I keep trying to will him into Swamp Cave, and it's just not working.
Yeah, this is a very suboptimal grind with 76 HP and this defense and this offense, to be honest. Like, it's no matter how you slice it, it's not a good grind.
Whether he uses the swamp zone to grind or to just go through it to get the rest of his stuff, either way works. And now it looks like he's gonna head for it. To answer chat, have we seen a single Axe Knight or Green Dragon this seed? No, we have not on either runner's screen. We also are still missing Grave, but we are likely going to miss that the entire seed because it's unnecessary.
And for a while before engaging this blue dragon, Chroma was walking around as if to grind, but apparently that might have been just a heal walk.
Yeah, in this situation, I don't think I'm grinding these blue dragon spikes. When wizards are giving you, only 60 less experience per pop, and you're not having to burn heal mores to do it, and they go down a lot faster, I think I'm just walking the zone.
And the only problem with that is it's a 1 in 16 encounter rate, and assuming that they're only pulling 2 monsters from the zone, that's quite a bit more than 16 steps per encounter.
Alright, so Ratlif is now out and about on the second continent. That was our first Magic Wyvern. Haven't seen one of those yet. Meanwhile, Chromataclysm has built up about a 400 experience point lead, almost a 500 experience point lead. And Ratlif is going to find coal.
One, 2, 16, 22 at level 12. So strength continues to be a problem, and agility also continues to be a problem. Like, those are some ugly stats at the top.
HP has at least moved into a zone where the blue dragon grind is less resource intensive.
Yeah, incoming damage from blues is 15 to 30 now, so assuming you start the fight at full, you're going to get 3 swings before you have to heal more, so the spike grind does make a lot more sense with these new stats.
Alright, so Ratlif has finally gotten to coal, is about to grab Erdrick's sword. Has not found Stone's Cave yet, so doesn't have the token.
And from his perspective, the token could be under the golem in Hawksness, or it could be in the grave. So a lot hinges on what he finds next, because if he finds grave, he's gonna dive it, because he just doesn't know.
Because he doesn't know, yeah. And doing the math, diving grave makes a whole lot more sense than going, no, I'm not gonna do this, I'm gonna look for Stone's Cave. Is shortly going to find Sharlock, so we'll have that checked off.
Yeah, so Aaron in chat said the XP gain rate is so much higher wandering around swamp than going to a typo spite.
Oh, there's our first Axe Knight. Just 2 swings, no spells. Okay, so right across the bridge is Sharlock, but now we're moving into a part of the map that we have not seen, and because Grave is still out there, well, Ratliff is contemplating return and hits it. And heads right back into Hawksness.
Schmeich with an interesting point saying that it's about equal to being Grave or Hawks from Ratliff's perspective. Maybe slightly more in Hawks when starting with the Curse Belt. However, the Curse Belt just confirmed what he saw in Cole. So... And Aaron says tokens in tablet, right? I think so. I think that's where it was. Yeah, I think so. My memory's kind of hazy. Like, I know that there was something in tablet because we were talking about one chest locations having stuff.
I think one of them was in... One of Harp or Token was in tablet, and the other one was in Stone's Cave.
Ah, yeah, there you go. Harp was tablet, yeah.
Ratliff finally manages to take down a red dragon, is level 12 now. Of course, Chromataclysm has just forged ahead in the experience lead here.
Looks like Chroma wants golems for the remainder of his grind. So this is about a 5-swing fight. Gonna be very resource intensive.
Yeah, it's probably seems to be finding that 350 experience hard to resist. You do have at least somewhat of a silver lining in that taking a death to them doesn't lose you too much time since Hawkness is right outside. But it's probably not the most efficient grind at this point. But then again, what is?
Yeah, I mean, the components of a dedicated endgame grind are like, how much experience are you getting from the thing that you're fighting, and the other is how efficiently are you using your resources. And if you can only kill a couple things per cycle, that's just not good, because you're wasting roughly 30 seconds in this case death warping and walking back in here.
But Ratliff appears to want the golems as well.
Chroma has switched to the zone grind, which is actually a good idea. I think this is far more efficient than grinding golems.
Ratliff, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, may be wanting to search the tile. So... And Chroma did not search the tile when he fought that first golem. So we actually don't know what's here. It very well could be the flute, which would be interesting.
Yeah, you would definitely want that flute in case this guy is on the spike in Sharlock, because you're going to be taking significant damage if you have to fight it without using that item.
Golem uses the back end heal. And a crit on the last swing. So we're going to see this here right after the level 13, and we're 14 now on Chromataclysm screen. And it is the fairy flute!
Yep, that's the dream. And level 14 gave basically nothing.
It was total garbage.
I think it was 2057 and the Spell of Hurt, which... God.
So the dueling grind here becomes interesting depending on the sleep luck that Ratlif gets, and it's bad right off the bat.
Just doing some quick and dirty math here, I would say that Chroma has at least a 5-minute lead here. Probably at least, I would say more like 10, because not only does Ratlif still have to find the token, he has to do his trade. So it's not only is he a level behind, he's also got to get the rainbow drop and a token.
And I do not remember if Stone's Cave is on second continent or first, to be honest with you. I feel like it was on second continent.
This is why I map when I run the game, because I honestly don't know. I think it was second continent as well.
This is it. I believe this is it. Yes, he's gonna find it. And I would panic right now in Ratlif's position, because it is almost immediately outside of Swamp Cave. Grave was never located and will not be.
Yeah, after spending all of that time throwing myself at Hawk's Nest to see what was under the golem, I feel real bad here if I'm Ratlif.
So heads to trying to, but forgets which cave is which there for a moment. But shortly will be on his grind and go. So it really becomes how efficient each runner's grind becomes. Ratlif has the fairy flute, but that doesn't necessarily mean a better grind than chromataclysm just walking and fighting red dragons.
Judging by the fact that golems have DL2, I definitely take the red dragon grind here. Also, red dragons have lower HP by a significant amount. And also wizards are in here, which just... Although... Why are you running from wizards, Chroma? They're free! You have to take the wizards!
Yeah, it's an interesting decision.
When the game gives you free experience and like 2 or 3 hits with no incoming damage whatsoever, you take it. You have to take it. I know you want red dragons, but wizards are valuable. It's like, it's free XP. You heal walk whatever damage comes from the hurt spell in like 2 steps. So that was a level. There's nothing quite like being 20 strength short and then you get that level at level 15. It's just fantastic. And it looks like Ratlif is switching back to the golem grind. I can't say I agree with this move. Like, you have red dragons and wizards in the zone, and they are clearly superior to having to play the flute every couple turns, potentially. And yes, Tadaru, fighting through wizards is definitely worth it. They yield 120 experience. You're going to beat them in 2 to 3 swings, and they literally do nothing to hurt you, other than the actual spell of hurt, which with your armor is only going to roll 2 to 6.
So with strength gains continuing to just be so anemic, but HP seeming to start piling up, you kind of have to start side-eyeing the death necklace in your peripheral vision.
Yeah, there's a pretty good chance it's going to be necessary in this seed, although we are still a fair distance away on HP to get to 129, but yeah, with just 67 strength at 15, and also agility is still terrible. Like, we're still at 55 agility too.
Yeah, you don't like to walk into Sharlock with that kind of agility. I mean, even with the Silver Shield, your defense is only at 77. So Chromataclysm has about a 2,000 experience point lead, now gone up to about 2,400. And they are both grinding on red dragons now, it looks like.
I'm going to actually start paying a little bit more attention to Ratliff's side. I'm curious to see if he takes the wizard fights and if that ends up making a difference in terms of their relative experience levels. Because to me, when you're sitting at 77 defense, this is a perfect opportunity to throw Repel, knowing you're not going to get rid of the valuable wizards, and then just fight every single wizard you see along with the red dragons.
Yeah, so bad has been the strength game that Chromataclysm, despite being level 15, one level above Ratliff, is actually one attack power below Ratliff because Ratliff put on the Fighter's Ring. And in such a marginal strength seed like we're seeing here, that Fighter's Ring becomes a lot more valuable.
Yeah, there's a very real chance it could matter in the seed, and Ratliff is taking the wizard fights. But now the question is, what happens at 16? Like, there's a very real chance that 16 will give us just enough agility to bump that defense up, where if they do throw Repel, it will drop the wizard encounter.
We'll have to see. Meanwhile, big question becomes, what is the go level? What do we think, chat? 16, 17, 18? Do we head into the 20s?
I'm going to allow myself to be a slight optimist here and say go as 18.
I'm seeing 19, 18, 34. 18-ish from Ziggy, hedging the bets there a little bit. 19.
Yes, Scarlet, they are still 20 strength short, but they have the death necklace. And so there's a very real possibility that over the next 3 levels they get to death necklace HP. And we're long overdue for a chunk gain on the strength stat. We've seen a lot of 1s.
So, interesting to note here, you know, Chromataclysm keeps running into wizards that he's running away from, and that has allowed Ratliff, even with this golem grind, to cut into about halfway into the lead that Chromataclysm had built experience-wise on him. They're now both at level 15. And Ratlif is just walking the zone and taking the wizard fights.
Yeah, so the lead right now is just under 1,800-ish. Okay, it's now about 1,700, 1,600. And it was a couple thousand a minute ago, so yeah.
Suddenly Chroma is taking the wizard fights now.
Well, it's about time, but...
As though he heard us. Nope, but running from this one, so I'm not sure there's a particular rhyme or reason to whether Chroma's taking wizards or not.
This hurts my soul. This hurts my soul to see this.
Meanwhile, Ratlif is taking on all comers that he runs into. And so, yeah, has cut this experience lead down to just under 1,500, which is frankly not much.
Basically a 4 red dragon lead, which, that's like a couple minutes.
Yeah, so the 10-minute lead that chromataclysm had before Ratlif found everything has essentially evaporated. He's got maybe half a Sharlock dive. Depending on encounter luck.
So, that level only gave us 2 strength. But it gave a ton of agility, it also gave decent HP, and a few points of MP as well. So, now we're defense breaking up to and including Star Wyverns and Werewolves. And we are edging ever closer to Death Necklace HP. I would say it's very likely we will hit Death Necklace HP on 17, and if not 17, almost certainly 18. It's just a question of where's the strength.
Yeah, it's definitely seeming much more likely at this juncture. Yeah, the wizards are definitely paying off for Ratlif in terms of closing the gap. It's not a linear progression in terms of the closing, but, you know, these filler wizards in between these red dragon encounters that chromataclysm is running from, but Ratlif is choosing to take, is causing him ever so slowly to catch up. Interesting point from Aaron to you too in chat. Will Chroma miss a go level due to not equipping the ring? That is very possible, I would say, at this point.
Yeah, the fighter's ring was in Mountain Cave. It was one of the 2 chests. It was actually, it might have been a vanilla chest for fighter's ring. Because it was in that pair of chests on floor 2, and in vanilla, that's where Torch and Fighter's Ring are located.
Yeah, it was either vanilla or right next to it. So now, Chroma is repelling everything in this zone except Red Dragons, so not running into wizards anymore.
I'm curious to see if Ratlif uses Repel at level 16 and also does the same encounter table, essentially.
So our next level is at 12,000. Chroma, it looks like, I believe, is 3 red dragon fights away.
Also, Chroma keeps wandering off of the desert tiles. It's important to note that when you are in Hawksness or on the bottom floor of Sharlock, the tile type you are on does matter. It does dictate the encounter rate. So these desert tiles inside Hawksness are a 1 in 8. The forest and swamp tiles are 1 in 16, and grass are 1 in 24. So it's important to stay on the high encounter tiles if you're grinding.
Yeah, that's something you just may not know. If you're newer, or if it's just something that's just never come up. It is this kind of grind is a rarer one. So if it's just never been something you've had to do, you may just not know that info.
And at least at the moment, it seems like the experience lead has kind of stabilized. Like, it's back up to just under 2,000, but Chroma is now going to be out of resources, so...
Ratlif has unfortunately been getting some kind of bad swings and on both ends, and it has slowed his Red Dragon grind down a little bit here. But gets to level 16. Gets the bad news about the power, but the good news about the agility.
Yeah, it cannot be overstated just how important RNG is in a grind that lasts for this length of time. It's just like how many times the Red Dragons dodge you, how many times they go first, how many times you low roll, how many times they high roll. Like, all of these things influence how long your grind cycle goes, and your efficiency can be swung dramatically one way or the other just based on some short-term variance.
So one more Red Dragon fight for Chroma. Although no, Chroma is headed elsewhere. Buying keys.
I think I saw a single key in his inventory.
Is maybe banking on 17 being the go level.
Oh, he has 0 keys. Okay. Yeah, I was like, did he have a key? So yeah, if he really did run out of keys, then yeah, he had to do this at some point.
He looks to be headed back to Swamp. Might be hoping that 17 is go time.
So
Meanwhile,
all
this is allowing a window for Ratlif.
Yeah, all of this running around doing nothing. The lead is now just over 1,000 XP. So that's 3 Red Dragons.
And now
2.5 Red Dragons. It's like the lead is almost completely gone at this point.
Yeah, certainly nothing that Bad Encounter Luck and Charlock won't correct.
Spike Blues are 1/40th of seeing a red. Well, 40 steps is what, like 10 seconds of walking? So
and
you go
here's
10
level 17.
It's like you go 10 seconds of walking? I don't know.
7, 7, 26, 3. So we have Death Necklace HP now. But that only would get us to 126 attack power. For Ratlif, it'll get him to 128.
Fairy Water is a big factor here.
And this Golem kill would bring Ratlif to 17. Chromataclysm seems to be going for it. Or perhaps not. Yeah, he walked past Cole.
So doing the math with 13 heal mores, let's say you get a single attack on the opener. So you get 15 guaranteed swings on the Dragon Lord. With 6 Fairy Waters, that would be 75 average damage. And then with the Death Necklace equipped, you're doing just over 9 per swing, so... yeah. It's at least possible. I don't know if I would bet on it, but it's definitely possible. I mean, it's especially possible with the fighter's ring equipped.
I guess Chromataclysm's doing a Charlock grind, maybe trying to check. Boy, I hope not going down to try and check the spike tile. That's a wasted dive. Ratlif now has all but eliminated the experience point lead that Chroma had built, which at one point was almost 2,500 experience points. So Ratlif now, of course, with 118 attack power, 128 with the Death Necklace. Going to be interesting to see what he elects to do here.
If I'm Ratlif, I definitely go for it because it's certainly
emptying. Yep, he is emptying his inventory to buy as many fairy waters as possible, and is going to go.
Of course, though, he does have the flute and the Death Necklace tying up valuable inventory space. So he does have that extra attack power, though. So the 7 to 14 range, it's an even number attack power, so his average damage output is not 10.5. It's a little bit less than that on his melees. So 10 swings would put him at like 103 or thereabouts. So yeah, 10 swings plus 5 fairy water on average gets him there, but he can't lose any resources on the dive. Like, he's sitting at 106 MP, so that gives you 2 to play with as far as repelling. And he doesn't have a scale either, which that's actually low-key important, because if he has and equips a scale, he gets to 91 defense, and he defense breaks the first form of the Dragon Lord, which means when the first form of the Dragon Lord swings at you, which he doesn't do very often, but sometimes he does, defense breaking is kind of important to knock down the incoming damage a fair bit.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So yeah, we're going to see Ratlif go here. And Chromataclysm, I guess, grind toward 18. So Ratlif should get a bit of a head start here into Charlock. After, of course, Chromataclysm kind of poked his head in. Chromataclysm has gotten a lot of fairy water, but it's a much more marginal situation.
Schmike with the math in chat, yeah. Like, I'm just rounding a bit in my head. It's like it's a little under 10.5, so yeah, it's the point being 10 swings plus 5 fairy waters basically pretty close to covers the full spread of DL2 HP. But you can't lose any resources on the dive, essentially. Or if you do lose a heal more on the dive, you absolutely need the opening double. Because you're very likely not getting one during the fight after putting on the Death Necklace.
So agility catching itself up to 82 at this point. You feel a little better about that because your odds to run in Charlock go up. Obviously, as we like to say, agility is just a number, but 82 is much better than the sub 40 we were seeing for most of this seed.
And we're going to have near simultaneous Charlock dives, although Chroma is still taking fights out here, so it looks like he's not comfortable with 17 at all.
You wonder if he had equipped the fighter's ring, if he would be.
I mean, it's just a little bit worse, but at the same time, like, he doesn't have the fairy flute, so that gives him an extra slot in inventory for another fairy water, which is not at all inconsequential with where their attack power is going to be after putting on the Death Necklace.
Unless the spike tile is a golem.
Yeah, that's the obvious concern here. It's like, is it a golem? And even if you have the Fairy Flute, at least in my case, I would still be worried about it because Sleep Lock is very hit or miss with them.
So Ratliff now on the first floor of the basement, runs into a red dragon, so we're going to see how this goes. 2 escape fails. Gets away on the 3rd try. The 148 HP, luckily, creates a solid buffer.
And unfortunately, swinging at them consumes a lot of resources because at this attack power, your max roll on a red dragon is 35. So you're going to need 4 to 5 swings to take them down generally. And that means you're going to be taking probably 80 damage or so in the fight.
Ooh, Ratliff having trouble running away from this Axe Knight. Finally gets away. But Chromataclysm's top floor of Sharlock has been consuming a lot of time.
That dodge is very consequential because now that guarantees he has to use a heal more during the fight.
He's swinging through, and that may not concede that this dive attempt doesn't work, but if he has to burn another heal more, I think it's all but certain.
Well, since he's swinging through everything, it really hinges on what level 18 brings. And again, he runs from a wizard. Chroma, the wizards are defense broken. You know they do hurt and stop. It's free experience. You clearly want level 18. You absolutely have to take that fight if you're fighting down. Like, the whole point behind the strategy of fighting down through Sharlock is you want to exploit the broken monsters that can't do anything to you. It's literally free experience.
Well, and he's fighting this one, so he's fighting some, but running from others, and I'm not sure what the thought process is there.
This is just so painful. It's so painful. Like, if you want to fight down Sharlock, this is the dream. You have high defense. You have high HP. You can just mow through wizards like they're nothing because they're free. It's just like the game's just asking you to take a free level from them.
So Ratliff has gotten to the basement with half his herbs remaining, which looks pretty solid. It's a great walk to that point. Another AK-47 gets in the way. Only takes 2 run attempts. So we're going to shortly see the spike tile. It is an AK. Alright. Oh, and a crit! Perfect.
And we're about to see level 18 on Chroma's side.
6 power.
Now the lost heal more doesn't really matter because he's going up to 132 with the Death Necklace. So it's 14 swings, he still has 12 heal mores. Should be okay if he can get there, but he's getting trolled by the Armored Knight.
And Ratliff has started his DL1 fight, puts on the Death Necklace. Here we go. There's a hurt more. Another hurt more. There's a chance you have to force swing the Dragon Lord here. Yep.
He swung through at 49 HP.
Back attack.
This fight is far from free thanks to that back attack.
He needs good rolls on these fairy waters. 16, well, a max roll to start it will work. Swung on that one, so we're at 29.
In his position, you just hope that the Dragon Lord rolled low HP.
41. $53. He's not bothering with the fairy waters. He's just swinging. Now he's going for it again. Not sure what the rationale was. That's going to be 66.
Chroma just lost another heal more, getting run blocked a ton by an armored knight at the top of the bottom floor there.
That's 80 for Ratliff. It's going to be 93. With now 5 heal mores remaining. Oh, nice. 109.
I think he's in real good shape now. He had a couple max roll fairy waters, and even with the back attack, he should be okay.
Yeah, these have been great rolls. He's at 129 with 3 heal mores to go. No, you don't like that roll. It's 137, but or 136. No, it's 37. 146. He's in death range here with this next swing. $157. This should do it.
Guaranteed at this point. Chroma had a much more difficult walk through the bottom zone, by the way.
And get your GGs out in chat. ratlifTheRat will take this race and the 3-race series. We will not go to a 3rd race. ratlifTheRat is moving on in the bracket rounds.
There was a massive difference in the RNG that they got on the bottom floor. Chroma got run blocked a whole bunch of times by an armored knight. And then he saw another armored knight, and then he saw a red dragon after that, and like his resources have taken a gigantic hit. Like he's down to just 9 heal mores.
Chromataclysm, meanwhile, going into his DL1 fight. 3 swings it. Also put on the death necklace.
Now, at 132 attack power, the fairy water is only slightly better. It's like 2 or 3 points of attack power better than that. So very, very, very slight advantage with the fairy water here.
Getting decent rolls on it so far. We are expecting Ratliff to join us here in just a minute or two. I have not been counting on Chromataclysm's side here, although it seems to be rolling all right. And as I say that, a 9. So the story here is just a huge comeback by Ratliff. Was down 2,500 experience at one point and had not found everything. Chromataclysm had a solid 15, possibly even 20-minute lead on having go mode time, grinding go mode time, and Ratliff turned it around and shot ahead here. Just a couple of things going right for him, a couple of decisions that didn't quite pan out on Chromataclysm's side. Quite a race. We're down to a final swing here for Chromataclysm. No! Doesn't get it.
Yeah, and that's the difference you see in the amount of resources they had. Even with the extra level, With that extra attack power, it's just not quite enough when you only enter the fight with 9 heal mores. It's just not quite good enough.
And officially, Chromataclysm has gone ahead to forfeit, so we're going to get did not finish. And Ratlif's final time, we didn't speak it into the broadcast here. 1 hour, 42 minutes, and 1 second. And joining us now here in the commentator booth is the winner of this race and also the matchup, ratlifTheRat. Ratlif, GG.
Thank you. Sorry, I had the stream going.
Not to worry. So, from your perspective, what are your thoughts on this particular seed? If you are speaking, Ratlif, we do not hear you.
Oh, can you hear me now? Sorry about that.
Got it. Yep, there you are.
Yeah, my thoughts were, I felt like I was playing fairly bad throughout the first half, I'd say. Yeah, I had the feeling I was behind, so.
You were ahead in experience for a while there, and then that changed hands, and Chromataclysm actually found everything. We were just talking about this about 15 minutes to 20 minutes before you did, but you turned it around with some of your grind choices, and you were able to take Go level at level 17 by virtue of the fact that you had the Fighter's Ring and had equipped it. Chromataclysm got the Fighter's Ring earlier, but forgot to equip it and then sold it to make inventory space, and so needed to go to 18. You guys both entered Sharlock about the same time, but you were both 17 at the time, and Chromataclysm needed that extra level.
Okay, that makes sense. And was that his first Dragon Lord fight there at the end?
Yes, it was.
Okay, because I got lucky against him last match. He just had bad luck against Dragon Lord, and I had good rolls. So.
Yeah, it was really interesting to watch just from out here. Just watch the comeback. At one point, Chromataclysm had about a 2,500 experience point lead on you. That you just ended up evaporating just due to how you both approached grinding for Sharlock. In fact, the two of you took very divergent paths almost from the very beginning through the entire seed. So it was interesting to watch.
Yeah, is Chroma gonna join us in the chat interview?
It looks like no. He's not up for the interview. So he's just saying GG's to everyone and good luck on the rest of the tourney.
I was just checking. Yeah, I didn't want to hog the microphone. Yeah, I felt behind, like I said, so I was definitely going on that level with the fairy water, and it seemed fairly doable. But yeah, I knew I had to go right there.
Yeah, specifically, I was curious, how did it feel when you finally found Erdrick's sword, which was just a few steps outside of Swamp North? Did it feel any worse to find that, or did you feel about the same amount behind as you had felt the whole time?
I think I felt about the same because we needed keys to get that. I mean, keys weren't really that far away, but Hurtmore was fairly early, and I just felt like I had such a bad start. I didn't feel like that changed things a whole lot.
Yeah, it certainly makes sense. You guys had very similar openings because it was just impossible to get out of the starting zone, of course, even though you had Erdrick's armor right out of the gate.
Yeah, and all those towns close together, like I feel like within a few screens was most of the towns and caves. Yeah, south, like in a straight line up and down.
Yeah, absolutely. And with this win, Ratliff, of course, you're going to be moving on in the bracket stages, and I believe your next opponent is EMP Any Amount of Money. Any thoughts about it?
I'm excited to play him. I like watching his stream, and I know he's obviously a really good player. So yeah, it's looking forward to it.
Absolutely. And so any just extraneous or final thoughts on the seed itself, or just how the tournament's gone for you so far?
I mean, it was a fun seed, a little bit frustrating, but overall, I've just really enjoyed the tournament. I don't really feel any pressure in any of these matches. For me, it's just fun, and I'm just looking forward to trying to do good on the next one, and maybe being a little bit more consistent. I probably need to make less mistakes if I'm gonna win the next matchup.
A sentiment I think we all feel for those of us that are still running in the tournament. Well, congratulations again on moving on here. Betastrep, any final questions from you?
I just wish people would go after wizards when they just do stop, spell, and hurt. That's all I want. When the game gives you good enemies that do literally nothing to you, you just exploit the heck out of them. It's just I've been driven nuts by that. But
Agreed.
anyway, it's other than that, I'm okay.
a simple man, Betastrep. He sees a wizard he can exploit. He attacks it. This was the last matchup in our first round of brackets here. So starting on Monday, I believe, is when the next round is going to begin. People are already starting to schedule for that. So definitely stay tuned as we move deeper and deeper into this tournament. We've got several matchups coming up, all best of 3 that are promising to be really exciting. So look forward to that. With nothing further here, we're gonna pull this up. So we've already got a couple scheduled. So Angel FM versus Stags 28, game 1 of 3. That is going to be on the first of that is going to be Monday. We're going to have that Monday evening. And then on Tuesday evening, myself versus Aaron2U2, the first of our 3, has been scheduled. So, and Aaron2U2 in chat, I'm coming for you, Pineapple. I mean, listen, I'm looking forward to it. And I hope everyone in chat is looking forward to our upcoming races. More and more of these are going to get scheduled as the rest of the day and tomorrow goes on. You're probably going to start seeing them pile on here. So just keep yourselves posted in the Discord to find out when these are happening. And we will get that action to you as best we can. As for us here, closing out, on behalf of myself and my commentary partner in the booth here, Betastrep, as well as our behind-the-scenes crew, our restreamer Math Girl 718, and our tracker, our Barbaloot, we wish you all a great evening, and keep it right here for more Dragon Warrior Randomizer 2020 Summer Tournament.